Hello, I'm Sergio, I'm Tracy's friend, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to make a very good gnocchi. Gnocchi is one of my favorite foods, and my favorite one is the one from my mom. There's also two other places in the world that I love the gnocchi. It was a restaurant in Sydney and another one called Il Postino in Puerto Rico. Today's, the one that I'm going to make is the one that I learned in Puerto Rico. One of the secrets starts with boiling the potatoes. So I put the potatoes with cold water and let it come to a boil. Once it came to a boil, now I can see that they're cooked. I don't want to burst them into seams because you don't want them to absorb way too much of the water. The more water the potatoes absorb, the more flour is going to take later. Okay, so now that the potatoes boiled and they cooked and they did not overcook, we have to peel them. We're not making mashed potatoes. We don't want any peelings on it, and we also don't want any clumps. Okay, our next step now, once we peel them, we're going to actually put them through this little guys here, and we're going to let them, and that's a very neat tool. So just put the potatoes in there and push them through. We don't want any lumps. Like mashed potatoes, when you're making mashed potatoes, sometimes you want a lumpy mashed potato. But for gnocchi, you really need all of this. And the objective here is not only to get the potatoes very soft and mash them, but also we need to let them dry and we need to let them cool off. You're never making gnocchi with very hot potatoes. While they have a lot, see the steam coming out, there's still a lot of water in it, so we want the potato to really dry, so it's not going to absorb a lot of flour when we're actually making the gnocchi. We're going to go ahead and make the dough for the gnocchi. Okay, I'm going to put the potato aside, and we need to know exactly the amount that we're using. And basically is half, a quarter, and a quarter. Half of the dough is made out of potatoes. A quarter of the dough is made out of cheese. And what I like to use is a grated pecorino romano. That is some good one, and it has to be really grated. You don't want things in big clumps. And the same amount of cheese, which is a quarter of the dough, you're going to have a quarter of it of flour. So that's what we're going to mix together now. So we have one, basically two. So I have two of those. I'm going to have one. And I'm not going to put a second one full, because when we roll the dough, I'm going to use a lot of flour to keep the things easy to rolling. So because it absorbs a lot, I never put the second one full. I'm going to put a little bit. We're going to use one, two. Wasn't it two that I used of each? Yeah. So of potatoes, we're going to need 4, 3, 4, which was all the potatoes that I had, which was about 5 potatoes, because I'm making it for a lot of people. So what we have here, 5 potatoes, which is about 4 cups of potatoes after they are cooked and after they all put through that masher thing. That's half of the dough. A quarter of it's going to be 2 cups of cheese and then 2 cups of flour, which I only use 1. And for this, we're going to use, normally 2 eggs is for about 3 to 4 potatoes. We should use 3 eggs, but I'm also not going to put too many. I'm going to still keep only on 2 eggs. My mom said the less eggs and the less flour, the better.
Make a well, Chapeau. Yeah.
And it's really messy, because the way you do it is with your fingers. Put all of this together. So all we're doing now is just putting all this dough together. It is really messy in the beginning, and people think, oh my God, how am I going to do it? It sticks to your fingers, but don't get discouraged. Just work this, and don't work it too much. Just try to pull everything together and keep rolling on top of itself. Okay, so you're going to use no more than a cup. So that cup you're going to give me little by little. So that's what we need. It's sort of like all the ingredients of mashed potatoes put into a big bowl. Thank you.
Cool.
When I cook the potatoes, I purposely did not use salt in the water. So when you do the dough, do not forget to add salt as well a little bit. so it doesn't stick to your fingers anymore. That's enough. So now we're just going to clean the surface, and we're going to keep this as it was. Everything is rolled in here, in this big bowl. What we do, we put flour here. That's how I said we're going to end up adding a lot more flour. And you just grab a little bit of it, and you start rolling it. And they're very soft, so you really have to work very lightly with your fingers and just keep working on the log until it gets thin and long. Work from the center to the edges. One of the ways, just cut small little pieces, kind of diagonal a little bit. Use diagonal, and once they are ready, those little babies are ready to go directly into the pan. And this, we're not doing anything special with them. We're just making them like big little guys. And when they float, they will be ready to go. You put on the dish on the side and add sauce. And meanwhile, we'll just make another one. So here's the second type. You can do the same thing. Cut those. You always keep your fingers filled with flour. You put them down on a fork and you just roll them with your finger. One side is going to have a little cup that is going to hold more sauce, and the other one is going to have ridges. And you just roll them like that. Put on the fork, push with your thumb, and there they go. Again. Again.
Trey, you want to see what it looks like when they're cooked?
How long do you keep them in here for?
Just till they come to the surface.
But when they come to the surface, yeah, make sure you taste one of them, because sometimes they may need 1 minute or so more.
They've been actually sitting here for a minute or so. They came up pretty quickly.
So, approximate time in the boil, it seems to be like a minute.
2 minutes.
2 minutes?
1 to 2 minutes,
Okay.
but always make sure that it's cooked.
Homemade pasta's like that. Homemade pasta only cooks for a couple of minutes.
And if you want, you can freeze the dough from this point here. And put some cheese. Cheese always goes really well with it, anything. So there we have it. We just got the gnocchi, and this is the one with the vodka sauce. That one is with a nice marinara and mushroom sauce. We have a salad with buffalo mozzarella, basil, and some Roma tomatoes. And we have some delicious bread that is with Parmesan cheese, butter, and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. So, bon appetit!